Okay, so first of all, let me explain what we're going to be doing. We're going to do volume. Volume is how much space is in there. How much space do we have inside the item? So we're going to be looking at volume. Now, as an example, we can look at the volume of a swimming pool. We can do it the long way, the long way. Empty out a swimming pool and fill gallons of water and see how many gallons of water are in there. Nathan, do you have a question? Is you opening, closing your microphone? No? All right. So once again, we can do it the long way. Empty out a swimming pool and see how many gallons you have in there. Fill 1 gallon at a time. That's a very long way. The other way we can figure it out is we can come out with a formula. And volume, like I said, is the space inside. So that's why I mentioned a swimming pool, the water, right? The space inside. So let's say, yes.
Is today's homework posted or no?
I can tell you we're not paying attention. I just said it's not open yet.
Oh, I wasn't on the Zoom, so I didn't hear.
All right. So once again, volume is the space inside. The space inside. So we can figure things out, first of all, by counting cubes. I can give you a shape like this. You guys see my big cube separated into small cubes, right? Counting cubes, that's basically what we can do. I can give you a shape like this as well. We can count the cubes. Or I can even give you a shape like this. Now, this one is very interesting because this is a prism, right? We've been dealing with prisms, cylinders. You guys can see the top is a base and the bottom is a base. My volume will be how many cubes are in there. Interesting part is I can count the base, the top. I can count the base. It looks like a rectangle. It's a 2x4 rectangle. I can literally count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cubes. Or I can just remember the area of a rectangle is a 2x4. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. So on the top, in the blue, the base, I have 8 of them. In orange, the second layer, I'm going to say I have 8 of them. In red, I have 8 of them. So altogether, I should have 24. I can literally count them, or I can just say the area of the base times the height. So I just said the formula, area of the base times the height. Let me show you guys another shaping here. Have a figure here, and then you guys see that here at the bottom, my little cubes. I look on the top, it's a 2x3 rectangle. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or I can just remember a rectangle, 2 times 3 gives me 6. So I'm gonna say the top layer is 6. There's a second layer, third, fourth, fifth, right? There's 5 layers, so the height is 5. The base is 6, the height is 5. 6 times 5 is 30. So if I counted how many cubes are there, I will say 30. So that's exactly what we're gonna do for the volume of prisms and cylinders. Cylinders happen the same thing. Look, have a cylinder. I can count the base. It looks like a circle. I know how to get the area of a circle. And then I can cut it into layers, which is basically the height. So the volume of a prism or a cylinder is going to be area of the base times the height. Yep, yeah, somebody here was answering. So yep, yeah, that's pretty much. So area of the base times the height. Prisms and cylinders. Now the base could be anything. It could be a circle, it could be a rectangle, it could even be a trapezoid. I know you guys don't like trapezoids, but hey, trapezoids are a good shape. All right, now let's talk about pyramids and cones. I know the area of a prism, area of the base times height. I could measure water. I could measure the inside with water. I could get a pyramid that have the same height, the same base as a prism, and I could find out how many pyramids does it take to fill a prism. I know a prism is base times height, right? Area of the base times the height. Now I can figure out how many it takes. And I'm going to tell you guys, it takes 3 pyramids. It takes 3 pyramids to fill a prism. Same thing with cones. I'm gonna show you guys a picture here. If I was to fill up a cone, it takes 3 cones to fill up a cylinder. I know prisms and cylinders. It's area of the base times the height. When I say base, I'm talking about a shape, right? It could be a circular shape. It could be a rectangular shape. It could be a trapezoidal shape, right? When I say base, I mean a shape, not just a number, right? We can find a number, but it's not a number given to us. We have to figure it out. So again, cones, it takes 3 cones to fill up a cylinder. I know a cylinder is base times height, right? Area of the base times the height. So for one cone or for one pyramid, I'm gonna come out with the formula. I'm gonna say the volume. It works for pyramids and cones. The volume is gonna be base times height divided by 3. The reason why I divide by 3 is because it takes 3 cones to fill up a cylinder. Same thing, it takes 3 pyramids to fill up a prism. It takes 3 of them to fill up the whole shape, right? In this case, it takes 3 cones for one cylinder. So if I just want to know how much is one cone, not the whole cylinder, base times height divided by 3. Because I know area of the base times the height is the whole cylinder. So divided by 3, it is just one cone. Again, it takes 3 of them to fill up the cylinder. That's why I divide by 3. Right now, I'm coming out with the formulas. In a minute, I'm going to use them. Now, let's talk about spheres. Let's talk about the volume of the spheres. Now, for spheres, interesting part is that I can use cones. Interesting thing is that if I have a cone that's the same height as a sphere, it would take me 2 cones to fill up a sphere. Like if you have them, you check them out. It takes 2 cones to fill up a sphere. I know the area of a cone. I mean, the volume of a cone is the area of the base times height divided by 3. The base is a circle. So I'm going to say that it is radius squared pi times height divided by 3. Right? The base is a circle, so radius squared pi times the height, right? Area of the base times the height divided by 3. I have 2 of them because I have 2 cones. Now I can simplify because I have 2 of them. I can just say, well, this is basically 2 times the radius squared pi times the height divided by 3. I'm going to add the 2. Again, it takes 2 cones. Interesting part, though, is that the height of the cone is the height of the sphere. I know the height of the sphere is the diameter. So I can just call that 2 radius. So here are my formula. This h, the height of the sphere, let me replace that with 2 radius. Again, the height of the sphere is the diameter, which is 2 times the radius. That's the same height as the cone. I can combine the top. Look on the top. I have a 2 and a 2, right? 2 times 2. That can easily be combined. I have r's. R squared times r. That's r to the 3rd. So let me simplify my formula for the volume of the spheres. Let me simplify that as 4 radius cubed pi divided by 3. The 4, again, because I have 2 times 2. The r to the 3rd, because look at my r's. Radius squared times radius to the 1. Right? Back in algebra, we learned that when the base is the same, we just add the exponents. Notice how in the r's, I just combined the exponents. I added the exponents. And obviously the pi, you guys can see where the pi comes from. The formula I am going to use for spheres is 4 radius cubed pi over 3. And remember, we've been using 3.144 pi. So now that I just showed you guys the formulas, let's take a look. Let's take a look at our work. Find the volume of each figure. Round your answers to the nearest tenth if necessary. This looks like a prism. Right? Prism because I see the base, top and bottom. I'm going to highlight the base. Even though there's two, one on top and the bottom, I'm just going to highlight one of them. And I remember for prisms and cylinders, the volume is going to be the area of the base times the height. The base looks like a square, like a rectangle. It's a 5x9 rectangle. So I'm going to say, all right, that base is 45. All right, we know how to get the area of a rectangle. The height is a number that has nothing to do with our base. In this case, 11. I'm just going to go 45 times 11. In this case, it's 495. That's it. Measurement-wise, the base, 5 times 9, it would have given me meters squared. The height is 11 meters. And I know when it's the same base, I just add the exponents. So measurement-wise, it would be meters to the third. Or we call it cubic meters. Now, for our work, I'm really just interested in, do you know how to calculate it? I'm not really worried about the measurements. So in my case, I just want you to type in 495. Like I said, the measurements, meters to the third or cubic meters. I'm interested in, do you know how to do the work? Damn. So only the number in the work. Like I said, I talk about the measurements, so we know. But I'm interested in just the number. Let's take a look at another prism or cylinder. Like I'm going to call it the same idea. And I know this is area of the base times the height. Now my base here looks like a circle. There's two circles, but I'm only going to highlight one of them. And I know for circles, I need the radius. And I'm going to say the radius in this case is 6. Because look, 12 is the whole diameter, right? It crosses the whole circle. Radius is only halfway. So I'm going to say the radius is 6. So for the area of the base, right, my circle, I have to go 6 times pi, right? Radius square pi, right? We got to remember the area of a circle. The height in this case is 7. So I'm just going to type it all in. I have a calculator, so I'm going to go 6 times 3.14 times 7. I get 791.28. But my answer should only have one decimal place. The second decimal is big enough, right? Big enough is 5 or more. So that 8 pushes the 2 up. So my answer will be 791.3. Like I said, think of a swimming pool. Get the area of the base times the height. I know the swimming pools are not all the same height. So get the, measure the tallest height, measure the smallest height, and think of it as the middle. The height of the pool will be the middle. All right, let's take a look at number 35. I know volume is the area of the base times the height. Right, I have another prism. The base in this case is a triangle. And I know for triangles, I always look at the 90-degree angle. So I'm just going to go, all right, the two numbers that make the 90-degree angle, I know one of them is 6. And I'm going to say the other one is 8. So I'm just looking at the 90-degree angle of my triangle. So I remember for triangles, I'm going to go 6 times 8. So I have to multiply those out. So 6 times 8. But because it's a triangle, let's divide it by 2. All right, 6 times 8 gives me a rectangle. Let's divide it by 2 because it's a triangle. All of that is the area of the base. The height, the number that has nothing to do with my triangles. In this case, 6. Don't think that you have to use every number. Right? Don't think you have to use every number. I see my 10 I didn't use. right? The 10, I don't need it. For triangles, I only need the two numbers that make the 90-degree angle. That's it. So don't think you're going to use every number. All right, so I'm just going to type it in. 6 times 8 divided by 2 times 6, it gives me 144. Not bad. Let's take a look at number 36. Look at the base. Let me highlight the base. Again, when I say base, I'm talking about a shape. I highlighted and I see there's one on top. I'm only going to highlight one of them. The area of the base, it's a 9 by 9 squared. So I'm going to say that's 81. Right? 9 times 9. The area of the base is 81. The height is the number that has nothing to do with your base. In this case, 6. I'm just going to go 81 times 6. It gives me 486. So when I have a prism or a cylinder, those are the first 4 questions. Prisms or cylinder, area of the base times the height. And I know I call it prism or cylinder when the base is twice, right? One on the bottom, one on top. Like a bedroom, like your rooms. You have a ceiling and you have a floor. So you have 2 bases. All right, now let's talk about pyramids or cones. So I'm going to look at 37 through 40. If you look at the base, it's only one base. And then the top is pointy, right? So I said earlier, prisms and cylinders. The volume is going to be the area of the base times the height divided by 3. Remember I said, if I had a pyramid and I have a prism, it would take me 3 pyramids to fill up a prism. So base times height gives me the prism divided by 3 because it takes 3 pyramids. All right, so let's take a look. The area of the base. The base right now, it's a pentagon, right? It's a shape that has 5 sides. But I remembered that for pentagons, I used to tell you guys, look for a triangle only. The triangle should have a 90-degree angle. 6.2 is the dotted line. And I know the measurement outside is 9. So I remembered I gave you guys this formula. And I used to say for a pentagon, look for the triangle first. I'm just going to go 9 times 6.2 divided by 2. That's the triangle. And so it gives me a triangle. Whatever I get, I'm going to multiply this by 5 because it has 5 sides. So 9 times 6.2 divided by 2 times 5 is the area of the entire base. That's just the base. The height is 10. And whatever I get, I'm going to divide this by 3. Area of the base times height divided by 3. I have a question here in the chat. It says, confused, the area is always the 90-degree angle or what's at the bottom? Probably you're asking the base. What's the base? Now the base is not always at the bottom. It's what we stand on, right? If I stand it on the base, that's, think of it as a person. Our base are our feet for most of us, right? We stand on our feet. And we can imagine our height, right? You know your height. Each of you know your height. Now, what about when you're laying down? Your base is not at the bottom, and your height is not up and down. You still have a base, which are your feet, and you still have a height, but in this case, the height is laying down. So our figures are not always standing up. Like I said, it happens with us. All right, so I'm just going to type all this in my calculator. So I'm going to go 9 times 6.2 divided by 2 times 5 times 10 divided by 3. And it gives me 465. The hard part really is the base. That's really what the hard part is. You got to remember, how do I get, if the base is a pentagon, like our case, How do I get the area of a pentagon? If the base is a triangle, how do I get the area of a triangle? If the base is a circle, it's a rectangle, a trapezoid. Okay, let's take a look at number 38. Right, it's a pyramid. So I remember for pyramids and cones, I'm gonna go the area of the base times the height divided by 3. The base is this shape at the bottom. It's a square. And I'm for the rectangle, I'm just gonna go 7 times 7. Right? If you guys want to just call it 49, then that's it. The area of the base. The height in this case is 9. I'm gonna go times 9. And all my answer, let me divide this by 3. So I'm gonna go, and it gives me 147. Area of the base. Let me highlight. This 7 times 7, that's the base. The 9, that's the height. And then the 3, well, that's 3. Remember, for pyramids and cones, we always divide by 3. And again, the reason why, because it takes 3 pyramids for 1 prism. All right, let's take a look at number 39. I want to do one of these again, because this one kind of gives us a little bit of hard time. The base is the hard part. There's the base. Let me highlight it. It has 6 sides. But I know inside the base, I'm looking for one triangle. My triangle is here. I know the measurement outside is 6. The dotted line is 5.2. So that triangle alone, just the triangle alone, will be 6 times 5.2 divided by 2. Just the triangle. But then I'm going to multiply this. My triangle, my result, I'm going to multiply by 6. That's going to give me the area of the whole polygon. I'm multiplying by 6 because there are 6 sides. All right, I look for the area of my triangle times how many sides we got. All of that, that's the area of the base. Whatever I get, I'm going to multiply by 11 because the height is 11. And then whatever I get, I'm going to divide it by 3. So I divide by 3. So I'm going to go 6 times 5.2 divided by 2 times 6 times 11 divided by 3. It gives me 343.2. Because I'm dealing with times in division. Right? Notice how all of my operations are times and divide. It is okay for us to type it all at once. It's okay. When we start combining like times and pluses, that one I would say do it separate. All right, let's take a look at number 40. Area of the base. Focus on the base. The base is a square. In this case, I'm going to say 9 times 9. I guess when the base is a rectangle, it's nice. It's pretty simple. The area of the base is 9. The height is 10. And on pyramids and cones, I always divide it by 3. So 9 times 9 times 10 divided by 3, it gives me 270. Even though I didn't do a cone, right? A cone looks like this. Even though I didn't do a cone, you can get that in your homework or the quiz. The basis is,
I have
yes.
a question. I didn't see what you got for 36. Could you go back up to it?
Okay, I'll come back once I finish. Remember, I zoom out.
Oh, that's right. Okay, sorry.
So so I was talking about a cone. Even though I didn't show you guys one, you can still get it. The base is a circle. You know how to get the area of a circle, radius squared pi. The height will be given. I'm going to highlight. That's the height. So area of the base times height divided by 3. Now let's talk about spheres. I'm only gonna do two because we talked about the formula already. I showed you guys very beginning using cones, how we come up with the formula. And we said, well, I said that the formula for a sphere was going to be 4 radius cubed pi over 3. Remember, there were 2 cones, and then the height was 2 times the radius. I combined the top, so 4 r cubed pi over 3. Okay, so I need the radius. Now the 5 is the whole diameter, right? My radius should only go halfway in the circle. So I'm going to say my radius is 2.5, right? The half of 5. It's okay to have decimals. So for me to find out the volume of this sphere, I'm going to go 4 times. I'm literally going to go 2.5 3 times. So times 2.5 times 2.5 times 2.5 times 3.14, right? That's pi. And let me divide all of this by 3. Right? I'm looking at radius to the third. I literally multiplied radius 3 times. If you know how to type in your exponents, I don't want to confuse you. Okay? So I'm literally going to say, type it in. I'm going to go forward times 2.5 3 times 3.14 and divided by 3. And it gives me 65.416666, a bunch of numbers. So let's see, it gives me 65.41 and a bunch of 6s. Okay, I can only have 2 decimal places. So I look at the second one, it's too small. So I'm gonna ignore all those. So my answer will be 65.4. Right, on the instructions, it will say rounded to the nearest 10th, which means 1 decimal place. Now, question 42, I give you the radius. The radius is 3.6. It's only halfway through. And I said it was going to be the formula for a sphere is 4 times the radius 3 times pi, and all of this divided by 3. So I'm just going to go 4 times the radius is 3.6. So I'm going to go 3.6 3 times. Times pi, which is 3.14, and all of this divided by 3. Do me a favor, though. Let me highlight the 3.6 3 times. In multiplication, don't do 3.6 times 3, because that will be addition. If you were adding, all right, 3.6 times 3, but you're not adding, you're multiplying. It's 3.6 to the third. So like I said, if you know how to type in exponents on your calculator, go for it. If you don't, literally type in times 3.6. And then I type it in my calculator, and it gives me, I'm going to round it to 1 decimal place already. It gives me 195.3. Okay, 195.3. We do a little recap. When it was just volume of a prism or cylinder, that's when you have 2 bases, one on top and one at the bottom. We just go area of the base times the height. When you have a pyramid or cone, we go area of the base times height divided by 3. When you have a sphere, 4 radius cubed pi divided by 3. I separated them for my lecture for me to show you guys. Now in your homework, they're all mixed. So don't think you're going to have prisms first, then pyramids, and then spheres. No, it's all mixed. So there, let me zoom out so you guys can take a picture of it. There it is.